Good morning, everybody. I see we've got a couple of people in the chat already. Welcome to you guys. And I am Urne, my co-host here. We've got Nick.
Morning.
And today we'll actually be talking about how to give your buyers a 3D tour without leaving your desk. So the idea behind this webinar is we want to help you guys get started with Matterport. I think that is, in most cases, the most difficult part is figuring out where you kind of sit in the realm of things and how to actually get started with using Matterport, how to either start a new business on the Matterport model, or even how to enhance your current business with the Matterport model. So I'll be giving you guys a brief overlook at this today as to how we can actually get this started. All right, now this is going to be a bit interactive, so I hope you guys have your questions and your comments prepped already, because yeah, this is going to be a fun one. So just to reiterate again, here we have St. Nicholas and myself, Monet Fischer. I am the Matterport guy and I do the thing. Yeah. All right. Can everybody hear me well? Just send a couple of thumbs up or comments in the messages if you guys can hear me properly.
Awesome. Thank you.
Awesome stuff. That's what I like to see. Great. We already got some people commenting. Awesome. Love it. Okay.
I'm just going to jump in for 2 seconds and just say that even though he says he is the Matterport guy, he really is the Matterport guy. Monet is #1 in South Africa for all Matterport technology and software knowledge. So you guys are in safe hands, you're in the best hands in the country. And what he's about to say is really valuable with regards to how to actually get a Matterport business off the ground. We've done it with ourselves and we've assisted other clients to do it. So, Monet, take it away and have fun.
There we go. Right. So what are we going to look at today? It's actually quite simple. Matterport makes it really simple to get started with it. So we're going to be following a 4-step principle. Each of these get broken down into smaller steps. Just because obviously when you do get started with something like this, it is somewhat overwhelming, especially when you start doing your research and actually getting more used to the things you are trying to sell. So the first thing we're going to look at is choosing our customers, so we can actually get to know our customer a little bit better. We're looking at our pricing structures, because that is also a question frequently asked is, I'm buying the camera, I'm doing all of the things, but how am I actually going to make my money back? The third one is advertising, and that's just talking about how we're getting our name out there and actually having the people interact with us. Especially for a startup business, who doesn't have the millions to spend on a marketing budget, this really does help, just so that you get that initial traces off the ground and start running. And last but not least is happy scanning. That's the point where we go get them, Tiger. All right. So choosing our customers. Let's quickly have a look at that. When we're choosing our customers, we're going to set up a basic business plan. And for this, it is really key that we're actually honest with ourselves in setting up and describing ourselves, because that's going to be the setup point for us to continue forward. So we're going to start off by describing ourselves and our company. What are we and what do we aim to be? In the terms of our clients is what do we want to solve? What area do we want to be in? Then we're going to describe our target market. Who is it we want to be selling to? What market are we trying to penetrate? Then describing the opportunities we have. And in South Africa, Matterport is still not known by most of South Africa, by most of Africa even. It is more common in the Americas and Europe, correct? But in South Africa itself, Matterport has just come onto the scene, and very few people actually know what it is. So the opportunities are there. Really it is, and the market is open for this. If we go ahead and we look at our second tier is where we actually now start doing our research. So we've described ourselves and what we want to become. Now we need to research and see, firstly, who are the other people that are trying to do the same thing as us? You know, what are the people in our target market looking for? What is it they want? And what is our unique selling points? Our USP is what's going to set us apart from the rest. You know, how is it we interact with our customer, and what makes us unique? And at this point, for the most case, simply being able to scan, being where the customer is, that is already your biggest selling point. That is a very unique selling point, as we don't have many cameras in the country, and we don't have many people that can scan. So just by that fact alone, you're already setting up a key point in your unique selling points, which is very important. Then when we move on to our next phase, now that we've done our research, we can actually do some feasibility checking. You know, is it feasible for us to start this business? Will we be able to grow? Is there space for us to grow? And once we've done that, we can now start setting up our mile points. Okay, so our first milestone, what do we want to reach in order for us to say, okay, you know what, this is how we're going to measure our success. This is how we're going to measure our goals. This is how we know we're actually making an impact and we're making a success. And I always say with Matterport, it's quite easy setting up our milestones as well, because we can physically track it with the spaces we do. We have a very visual marker, so it's something we can see. It's an end product we get that you can really see and feel it, which is great. And that makes setting up our goals a lot easier. So that is, in essence, just choosing our customers, setting up our basic business plan. Next point we need to look at is our pricing structure. And like I said, pricing structure is probably the point that I see most brought up when we're actually, talking to the people that are looking to buy a camera. Because it's all fair and good to have the camera and be able to scan, but how do we make our money back? What do we charge the people? There is no precedent in South Africa yet where we can say, well, the average market is pricing it at this rate. When am I overcharging? When am I undercharging? So that is a very key point that we need to look at. So I've done a little bit of a breakdown here. So here we can start off with, what is our basic expenses? So this is excluding our additional overheads, that if you are an existing company, so this will just add onto your overheads, add onto your expenses. But looking at the onset of, being a entrepreneur that wants to start a new business with Matterport, this is basically the start of your overheads and pretty much the biggest lot of your expenses. I see we've got a question there.
Yeah. Here's a copy of the recording. This technology is amazing and understand how market with business is key. Okay, fantastic. So what we'll do is, I have all your details, thank you. I will definitely send you a recording of this as soon as our web developer has formatted it into our YouTube channel. I'll send you the link as well as to everybody else who is participating today in the webinar. I'll send you all the link as well so you can rewatch this and take notes and pause. And
again, if you guys want to share it, we're going to put it up on our YouTube page as well. You guys will be able to find it there as well.
And we'll also have our emailing details, both mine and Monet's, at the end of this. And I'll also send you a thank you for joining us. And then you're welcome to also give us a call or just send us questions via email, and Monet and I will happily assist you to get things going on your side.
There we go. Right. So now looking at our expenses, buying our camera with a tripod and a carry case, because again, we're spending money on this, we're making sure that when we're buying a camera and our tripod, make sure to buy a sturdy carry case. I've tested these myself, and I have kicked it downstairs as a test, and it has survived very well. So that's why we're looking at about 81,000 to buy all the equipment we need. All right. Then we're looking at our annual subscription, and I do tend to tell the people, please go for the annual subscription, because you're saving a lot of money there. And especially if we're starting out a new business, the subscription would really help if we do an annual subscription.
We have one more question here. Is this pricing structure based on worst case scenario, middle, or entry? So to answer that, there is actually no official Matterport pricing structure as such in the country. So I would say that the current pricing where you buy the Matterport Pro 2, Manfrotto, tripod, and carry case, that I would say is the highest amount that you would actually pay currently. You can purchase each item individually. The camera on its own, which I will also send a breakdown to everybody of it, is 66,000. That's for the camera on its own. If you already have a Manfrotto tripod of your own, for example, or a tripod that you feel would be safe, and you recommend the Manfrotto, you're welcome to use that. That tripod on its own is also 5,900, if I'm not mistaken. And then the carry case on its own is 7,500. So that's what brings us to the total of 81, which I would call as, in the question, worst case scenario. I would definitely say worst case scenario. You will not pay more than 81,200 for the whole kit. We are, like I said, we are actually the only sole suppliers in the country. And the reason for what our pricing is, even though you might see that you might be able to buy the camera directly from Matterport for, say, $2,300 or whatever the case might be, which is a little bit cheaper than our 66,000. The problem comes in where the export and the duties taxes absolutely nail us and anybody that has actually bought cameras in. We've dealt with numerous customers who have actually bought cameras for themselves, and what they've paid to bring one camera in is what we've paid to bring 12 cameras in. So that's, I would say, why our pricing structure is the way that it is. We do incorporate a small percentage onto the import and duties fees with our sale in order for us to actually make up for us bringing the cameras into the country. That's our transparency there. So that's how that actually works out. But like I mentioned, I will definitely be sending each of you a full breakdown of what comes, how the camera works, what comes with the camera, its features, as well as the tripod and the carry case. And then the annual Matterport professional subscription that Monet spoke about is the one for $69 a month, or annually that's 10,000, like you said there. So it's up to you. It's 1,000 Rand a month to host 25 spaces, but Monet will go into more detail with that later on, and we'll also give a breakdown on that. So, but thank you guys for actually sending these questions during the chat. It really helps a lot, and it also makes us more interactive with you guys. So feel free to pop the questions in. We're keeping an eye on it, and we'll answer as we go along. And I hope that did answer your question, but like I say, we'll be sending more info as we go along. But don't ask with questions, send us difficult stuff. This guy's a genius. And
make it difficult for me.
He needs something difficult. Let him rack his brain while we're all sitting here.
There we go. Well, let's have fun with it. So I'm happy to answer those. So that is why we have the professional subscription. So we're looking at a total, and I'm going to call it 92,000 as the total cost. Now, if we break this down to being able to pay this back over a year, we're looking at about 7,600 let's call it 7,700 in order to break even in paying back our camera within a year. All right. Now, normally when clients come to me, I suggest the following charges when you guys are, doing your scanning. And I rather than charging for square meterage, I charge for time. The reason for this being is if we've got a big open space, let's say a warehouse, 2,000 square meters can take me maybe an hour. Whereas if we have a very complicated scan, so it's a house with many different rooms, those types of things, then we're going to do more scanning and it's going to take us longer, even though the square meterage might only be 500 square meters. So that is why I'd rather charge with time rather than charging with square meters, because we never really know what our site's going to look like unless we're there already. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yes, so that actually answers half or full day. Is that a lump sum fee or per hour per square meter, which answered. Yeah, so per square meter, it is very dangerous actually to do that. We had a client in Durban who did it that way, and they lost out due to what Monet just explained. Like a 60 square meter area might be blank, which should take you an hour to do. But if they revamp that area and there's a bathroom and more walls in there, it's going to take you 2-3 hours. And charging per square meter, you're going to lose out that way. So that's the reason why we do full day. The next question is the 1,000 Rand hosting fee absorbed into the service charge?
Correct. Yes. So the thing is, we don't want to pay for our own subscription in that sense.
Yeah.
And the thing is, we also, want to create a lasting business. So a business that can start sustaining itself. And that is why we have the monthly hosting fee of 1,000 Rand. Now, if you think about it, what we can do with that is if we charge 1,000 Rand hosting fee to 10 clients, we already have made up not only our annual subscription, but we'll make up that pricing of the annual subscription within a month. Does that make sense to you guys as well?
Or what you can do, so what Monet is saying, like 1,000 Rand per person is also, that would be then be per month, while that person wants their scans hosted from your side. What you can do is you can also take it according to your judgment to what that person can afford in their budget. So if you want to go down to 500 Rand per person that you're assisting, and you have 10 people that you're charging 500 for, you're making 5,000 Rand, of which your hosting fee per month from your side is 1,000, then you've made a profit of 4,000 where that's concerned. So it really is completely up to you. Once again, these are prices that we actually charge as the company ourselves. So that's why we're saying these are the prices. Once again, full transparency. This is how much we charge going forward. Our next question we have here is, do you have training for people to use the cameras?
Absolutely, yes.
100%. Yes.
That is the best part of my job, is I actually get to do the training with you guys. Definitely. And normally we do half a day's training, just because the camera itself is very simple to use, but more difficult to master in a sense. So the training I provide is more along the lines of, yes, I show you how to use the camera, how to scan with it, but I give you my tips and tricks. How do we enhance our scans? What can we do to add a little bit more into the scans? And that I find normally helps more in the grander scheme of things, because you're not just getting the, let's call it a fundamentals training on how to use the camera, but it's actually how to become good at what you do. So yes, we definitely do the training as well with the cameras.
And on that topic, one of the other questions is the training online or in person? So if you are in Gauteng, 100% in person. If you are able to come to our office here in Rivonia, or we can come to you at your office. That's really not an issue for us to do that within Gauteng or Mpumalanga or any province that's close to us up here. Should you be in Natal or in one of the Capes, that's where it becomes a little bit more difficult. So the two options are, if you have the budget for Monet to come down to you and train you there, 100%, you know. If not, we can do online training. However, it is in person, because you would be touching and working with the camera with Monet. It is more, what's the word I'm looking for?
I do a very interactive training.
Very much more interactive, correct. Yeah. So we can definitely do online. So we will support you. You basically doing like the virtual, like what you've been doing for the past 2 years. Thank you, COVID. So it can be done, yes. But if you're in a different province, like I said, further away, it's completely understandable. And we then make it as professional and easy for you to learn how to do it as possible, even if you're sitting 2,000 kilometers away or whatever the case might be. We also have videos from Matterport that can actually assist you with that. So if you want to go back to it, you can see it's complete pause, plug and play, how everything works from there. So we 100% support you so that you know exactly how to work this camera without even having to bat an eyelid after the training.
Done and done. Happy days with that.
Yeah. Cool.
All right. So now looking at a month-to-month breakdown, if we can get to the point where we do 2 scans a month, so if we do 2 jobs a month, we can get past our monthly breakdown for a break even. All right, so 2 full days scanning will net us 12,000 Rand that month, and we would pass our break even point. All right, so that means we can, if we only do 2 scans a month, we can actually pay off our camera and our hosting fees within 6 months. So there is definitely a way to fast track it. And if you're even more prodigious, you can work 4 days a month and double that amount again. This is again just that worst case scenario. What is it I need to do at the very least so I know I can break even? And that is about 2 scans a month, which is, again, working for 2 days a month. Who wouldn't want that, right? Can I get a couple of thumbs up for those of you who wish you could only work 2 days a month?
Yeah.
There we go. Glad to see I've got some people that feel the same way I do. All right, so that is the basics of a pricing structure. And again, this is malleable. Like I said, there is no precedent as yet for the scanning in South Africa, for the pricing and the charging in South Africa. So it's a very malleable pricing structure that we set up. I just wanted to make sure that we at least know what it is we're getting ourselves into before we actually do it, if that kind of makes sense to you guys. There we go. All right, so that's all about the pricing structure. Do we have any other questions around this as well? Because I know this is a very deep topic that people like to interact with.
Cool. I think we're good. Thank you.
There we go. Now, another tricky topic, yield marketing. Now, here's the thing with marketing. Marketing our scans is actually very, very simple, right? Sure, if we look at our first phase, it's going to start like every other business does. It's going to require us to do cold calling. It's going to ask us to explore with people, and we're going to have to try and get word of mouth. That's how every business starts. The legwork has to be done regardless of what business you're in. Even if you have a business that's already been created and settled, you still find yourself doing a lot of legwork besides, the normal marketing that people do.
Okay. So before we carry on there, we have a question here. Scanning a home, let's say, for example, 3 bedrooms, how long would it take? What determines the time needed?
So there's two phases to that. So firstly is complexity. So like you mentioned there, we have a house with 3 bedrooms. So a house with 3 bedrooms means that we're going to do at least 3 different rooms worth of scanning. So that's where we're getting our time in. If we talk about a scan, it takes about 30 seconds to do. And normally your 3-bedroom houses would require at least, let's call it 60 scans. So that is how I normally bill my time. Now, luckily for myself, due to having experience, I can tell you now that a 3-bedroom house over norm, and let's say they have, dining areas, a cinema room, a sitting room, maybe 4 en-suites and be the case, it would take about an hour and a half at maximum.
Something to also keep in mind, what we generally do before even starting a scan is we actually go to the property that the client wants us to scan. And we take a bit of a walk around just to see more or less, and that way we can sort of work out for ourselves how long is this actually going to take us. So it's one thing, like we can say a 3-bedroom home, like your average 3-bedroom home in Johannesburg, for example, would take 1.5 hours, but then it might be a 3-bedroom home that's actually a mansion, for example. And so you have to also consider that. So there's various types of 3-bedroom homes. So that's where it's advisable then to, because they might have staircases as well that they want to do. Staircases also then take a little bit longer to do because then you have to move your camera accordingly. So that's why, give or take 2 hours, I would say that would be a ballpark figure for your general 3-bedroom home. Also, something to consider as well is, like Monet calls, what's it, fluffing the pillows and...
Yes, we're still getting to that.
Yeah. So we'll get there, but we'll bring that, but it's just, so that's the trailer part. So yeah, so just to keep that in mind with that. So 2 hours on average, approximately would be that. But do yourself a favor, always go look at the place first. In order for you to get a confident feel of what it should be, instead of rocking up at the client's place and they say it's that, and you get there, you're like, oh, okay, this is a bit bigger than I anticipated, and then you've overshot or undershot, sorry, your sale in that sense.
Okay, I see we've got another very good question there. How do we actually deal with exteriors, and what is the best times for scanning those? So yes, it is true that the Matterport Pro 2 camera doesn't like sunlight because of the amount of UV rays it shoots out. It actually blinds the camera. But your golden hours, so if we have a couple of photographers in the room, how many of you guys are photographers? Send us a couple of thumbs up in the chat if you know photography. But we have what we call the golden hour. So that is that hour, during when dawn starts and when dusk sets in. The amount of UV rays drops significantly, and we can actually do a lot of our scanning there. Another good thing, but we can never plan around it, is if it's a slightly overcast day, you're going to love scanning because then the amount of UV drops a lot as well. So I normally suggest, especially now in winter time, my scanning time for exteriors would be between 6 and 7. That hour we can scan without any issues at all. And the same would then be true between 5 and 6 in the evenings. Sometimes we can get away with till about 7, depending on what our weather is looking like. But those are normally the times we would do exteriors. So again, if I'm doing a big house and they want to include the exteriors, I would come in early in the morning, around about 6 o'clock, start with scanning the exterior, and then move my way inside. That is normally the method I do it in.
Then we have another very good question, which we've experienced ourselves. The question is, I've been following Matterport on Facebook and seen users complaining about scanning next to mirrors or glass reflecting back. That is, Monet can elaborate on that more, but we've even experienced that ourselves. And it's a matter of just finding ways to move the camera in strategic areas. The unfortunate thing is, I have an example of a bathroom that we did where there was mirrors on either side, and it sort of turns into one of those kaleidoscopic, I don't know, Alice in Wonderland sort of feelings. But unfortunately, due to the reflections there, it is something that we can't avoid. As much as we'd like to, we unfortunately can't avoid that. So if it is a bathroom that, depending on the mirror size, and if you can put the tripod in a specific area to avoid reflection, by all means do that. But if you have a mirror on one side and one on the opposite side, it's unfortunately, we can't remove that. We've even scanned gyms as well, where, I mean, everybody's been in a gym, I'm presuming, and you can't avoid the mirrors there, you know. As much as people try to avoid them when they're exercising, it's the same with the tripod and the camera itself. So as you'll see, Monet is actually going to give us a bit of an animated illustration as well on how to avoid and what we can do. So also, as a side note, I just want to add that unfortunately, once the scan is done, we also can't try and shade out the tripod from a reflection or a mirror, because what that does is it just dirties up the scan, and it causes, like, you can sort of shade out a human face or anything like that. You could possibly, if you wanted to, do the same with a tripod, but it's going to make it dirty and not very neat and clean. So rather explain to your client that it unfortunately is just one of those things that, as much as we would like to avoid, it is unfortunately not the easiest thing to just remove.
Right, so over here we've got a little model of our house. When we have a mirror in front of us here, rather than setting the camera there in front of the mirror, I normally just set it off just to the side of the mirror, here and here, and that would avoid reflections. So again, with proper placement of your camera, and again, this is something I do teach in the course that I give when we do the training, is how do we properly place our camera to avoid as many, we can't avoid them all, but how can we avoid as many reflections, you know, from mirrors and windows as possible?
So I hope that answered the question there. And we have another very good question as well regarding stairs. How do you handle stairs and multi-level scenarios?
All right, so the Matterport is able to add in floors and multi-levels on the app. And once again, once we do the training, I actually show you how to do that as well. So it's very simple actually, and it's very good with handling different floors.
We've done both sort of spiral staircases as well as escalators as well. So we have the experience, the physical experience of scanning numerous styles of staircases, like I said, as well as with the escalator. We have another question here as well, but this is regarding financing. Do you work with universities? Our one says yes there, and is the pricing the same? So what I'm suggesting with the pricing here is, obviously, depending on the size of the area. If you're just doing a once-off, for example, of a person's home, you can stick with the pricing that you currently have. Should the project be something that's going to be extended or a very large project, it is then up to you to decide what rate you then want to give your client. So, for example, our daily rate is 5.5 there. And if I know that I'm going to be scanning with the client for the next 10 to 15 days, which is 3 working weeks, I would then reduce my pricing, for example, down to 4,000 Rand a day, for example, which then takes away 1.5. Now you take away the 1.5 per day, and that's a lot of saving from the client side. But for us, we feel it's fair because you're giving us business. So it's only right for us to then as a thank you, reciprocate and say yes. So it's very much up to you how you would then like to charge in that regard. Next one, does the Matterport have a federating separate spaces tool? For example, two separate projects merged together to form one full project? Good question, thank you.
Yes and no. Okay, so that is a difficult one to answer. I like that one. So in the sense of stitching two projects together, you can do it. Matterport does allow for you to send them the scans and they will then stitch those together. There are also other methods that I also use. One being what I call the portal. So the portal is we actually put a tag down that can take you from space to space. So if we have two spaces that are not conjoined, so let's say, for example, we have a house with a flat somewhere else on the property, rather than scanning our way there, having the client get lost on their way there anyway, we can actually put on a little teleporter that will take you from the one house to the flat and vice versa. So there are means and methods of doing that. And that's also one of my favorite tips and tricks to share with clients when we actually do the training. So that's also something I very much enjoy. All right.
So I think, are there any questions for now before we go on? And I hope we've answered everything.
If I have missed anything, just shout in the chat.
So far, it looks like we've covered everything.
I just want to see a bunch of shouting emojis.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. All right.
Okay, so let's see. Oh yes, here we go. This is also a very good question. Have you guys had clients that needed point cloud scans for use in Autodesk, Revit, or Recap?
Yes, definitely. Now, the thing is, we have to remember that the scanners aren't as accurate as you would find in, for example, a Faro scan. Sometimes we are looking at, that's it, love that emoji, awesome. So sometimes, yes, we do get that, and you are able to generate point clouds from the Matterport scans, but do note we are looking at a discrepancy of about 5 millimeters with some of the scans we do. So if you're looking at your point cloud, you might have a 5 millimeter deviation, which for architectural purposes is still within design spec. As we all know, we normally work about 5 millimeters in terms of, your finished thicknesses. But that's just something to keep in mind, that we could still have that bit of discrepancy. But yes, we can certainly generate our point clouds and then use it in, we've had actually multiple guys in our office use their point clouds for modeling purposes, both on Revit, less AutoCAD, but mostly Revit, 3D Studio Max. They also love the point clouds as well. Okay.
I mean, that's all the questions for now. Thanks, guys.
Oh, yes. Love it. Okay.
Can you switch between scanning with MP2 and BLK?
Yes, definitely. If you want to, you can carry a Pro 2, a BLK, a Insta360, and a Ricoh with you, and switch between them as quickly as you switch. I'm trying to think of it.
As quickly as the weather changes in the country.
There we go. But
let's do that. Yes.
To answer your question, yes, you can incorporate both in the same scans, and you can simply just switch between them with whatever one you need at that point. Thank you for the laughing emoji.
That's true. Like, okay, this is going to get awkward. Also, we just want to add quick that I am also in the process, or we are in the process of investing in Insta360s as well, so that in future, when we sell our Matterports, we actually have the Insta360 with it, so that you would then be able to scan inside and outdoors, because with the Insta360, you can scan very nicely outside as well. Should it be daylight and you want to do it midday, where the camera Matterport itself might be not the greatest, the Insta360 will definitely make the difference for you guys there. Another question here, Matterport for AutoCAD, is it reliable?
Again, if you want to pull that point clouds in, yes, it really is reliable. And again, a lot of this does hinge off the fact that if you scan well, your point clouds, your data will be delivered well. Good in, good out. And so yes, it is very reliable. You can use it, and that's not a problem at all. Right. Now, actually, I just love answering the questions.
Yeah,
let's have more of those. Actually love that more than the presentation.
Yeah. This is like, okay, stop laughing. Here's the real stuff.
Okay, getting back to the presentation though. When we're starting out, like I said, a lot of legwork needs to be done. We're going to have to build our network up. So legwork all the way. Secondly, it's very difficult for a startup company to throw a lot of money into their marketing. The marketing budget isn't that big. So use your free platforms. I mean, we've got 8 different social media platforms that are free of charge to use. And if you think about it, over 21 million South Africans a day is on social media at any given point. So, I mean, let's use those free platforms. They get given to us and millions of people see it. Let's use it. If you do have a website, by all means, let's add it to our website. Very simple. It's a one-button click to add it to your website. And again, during training, we do showcase this to you as well. And it just makes lives a lot easier, actually showcasing what we have done. Now, the last one, it sounds very controversial, free scans. To get your name out there, what better way than showing a client something you have already done? Does that make sense to everyone? And if we go and scan something, and look, I've done this numerous times where I fall in love with the space. I go up to the person, I go, listen, I love what you have here. Are you willing to let me scan it? I'll do it for free.
Yeah.
And then we both get to use it for marketing. Yeah. And I will tell you now, not a single person has ever turned me down when I did that. Correct. Everybody was more than happy for me to come in and scan their location, especially at the fact that I love their location, and give them not only a marketable return, but actually having some marketing resources for myself as well. So that is always a win-win.
Yeah. What we do to also add on to that is when we have clients who have asked us for our scanning services, we always, we'll give them a quotation, but with that, Monet and I are also going to do a POC as well, just to also give them a highlight of what their scan would actually look like. So we don't necessarily scan like the whole building, but just a certain area of theirs so that they can then also show it to their investors. Because obviously a company has more than one decision maker and they then have to decide, okay, are we going to invest our money into this? Yes or no? But giving them something that you've already done, that's for free, it'll take you an hour, 2 hours maximum. Scan that area within the next day. You can send them the link of what you've scanned, and they can then share that with their colleagues as well. So that is a very good way of doing a point of concept, which you can share with your clients, first of all, as in the free scan. And there are always people are getting things for free in any case. So if they're going to get a free scan out of you, they're going to be like, geez, man. And even if they don't take it now, they will remember you. I guarantee you, they will remember you. And somewhere along the lines, word of mouth, they were like, oh, X, Y, and Z. So it's definitely worth your time and investment to do that. Another question here. So I just want to scroll this up a sec. Sorry. This was also a very good question, actually. Well, sorry. There we go. On a full charge, how long will the scanner last and how many scans per charge? It's also a very good question. Thank you.
Okay, so I haven't worked out how many scans per charge, but if someone has a calculator close by, we can quickly work it out. You can do 2 scans a minute. But you have 10 hours worth of physical scanning time. Now, I'm not talking about just the fact that it is when the camera is on, so 10 hours of it being on. No, 10 hours of scanning time. And it takes about 3 hours to charge to full. So let's see if someone with some quick maths can tell us how many scans we got.
300 square meters before the battery shows.
There we go. Bonus.
Bigger than my phone, yeah. I'm like, 3,000, sorry, 3,000, yes.
I love
3,000
it.
square meters before the battery actually starts to flash.
There we go. So that is something that Matterport has really actually done very well in their design, is actually giving you a camera with 10 hours worth of scanning. So I'll be honest with you guys, I only charge my camera once a week. And I normally do 1 to 2, demos and scans per day. So that just goes to show how far that battery actually really stretches. Right.
And then we have another question, it's also a good question as well. What if your camera breaks and if you're outside of South Africa, is there a warranty guarantee from Matterport? And do they support or ship everywhere? Okay, so from our side, should you purchase a camera from us within the first year, the guarantee period, first 12 months, should anything happen to your camera, whether you are in South Africa, Botswana, Namibia, the UK, Australia, wherever, we will replace your camera for free. So what would happen is you would ship your camera to us or give it to us, depending on your location, and we would then give you a brand new camera free or ship you the camera for free. That's what we would do for the first 12 months. After that 12-month warranty period, you then have to communicate directly with Matterport themselves. So you would then send it to them, they would repair it and send it back. For that, you're looking at approximately $300 to $500 for them to actually assess and repair your camera. That's the general sort of fee that we've had so far. Luckily, we've done it once where one of our clients accidentally, it happens. They weren't using the correct tripod. This was in the beginning. They weren't using the correct tripod and it fell over. But the way that it fell, it completely damaged the screen. So the box itself was quite strong, but it was in a rocky area. They were doing a fountain or an indoor garden, and this thing fell and cracked the screen, unfortunately. So in that sense, we then replaced the camera for them and we sent the other one away. Like I said, the case itself was very solid, but it's just the way that it fell in that specific area. It was a bit of a hard one. So that has happened. But then we also had a client where they bought the camera prior to us actually joining Matterport, and they then came to us and asked for assistance, which we did help, and we helped them actually send their camera to the States in order to get it repaired, and that's where they charged $500 for theirs to be repaired. Okay, the next question is, thank you. Let's see, this is good here, just a sec. Okay, working in Saudi Arabia with Matterport Pro 2, and the heat is a big problem. Okay, if you can find a solution for heat reduction, that would be awesome. Do you have an add-on for camera?
We currently do not have an add-on for the camera to increase basically its heat resistance or increase its cooling. But what I can say would probably work for you, you're probably on site now trying to figure it out. I would say probably your best bet would be one of those simple USB, what do you call them, the little PC fans. If you mount that underneath your batteries, it actually does help with the cooling a lot because it's an open unit at the back. So underneath you will have your battery vents, and just adding a little fan on there should actually help your scanner a lot. Unfortunately, I haven't scanned in somewhere like Saudi or where it's that hot. So I haven't experienced that myself, but I am eager to try and experience that myself.
Yeah. We do know that when it's cold, it takes a little while to warm up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that does make sense.
Yeah. I hope that answers that question. The next one, also a very good question, thanks. Is the Matterport camera registered to me as an individual? I've not found a registration page on Matterport. So once you, should you purchase a camera, the subscription and all of that is registered in your name specifically. Yep. So once you've bought it, it's registered in your name, and your email address is then used as your registration as an individual in that sense. So it is fully yours. All the scans then go and fall under Matterport subscription and in their cloud and in their server. Unfortunately, we cannot take those scans out and place them onto our computers or externals or anything like that. That's how Matterport works. They've sort of like encapsulated
niche the market.
Yeah, niche the market so that it stays within their sort of realm, if I can put it to you like that. In that sense. So every scan that you do 50 scans and only have 25 active, the other 25 are in a cloud that you can then rotate, but it is then yours. As far as you've not found a registration page on Matterport, what I can do is I will also send each of you guys with the info on this. I will send you a link to the free sort of like Matterport app, basically. So what you would then do is you would download the app from either your iPhone or your Android. That's in there if you go into your app stores. It's for free. Then you can click on Start for Free. That will then give you the ability to scan your home and keep one active scan actually. And it's like $0. So it would be the starter. You'll see it would be the first one on the left-hand side. Should you want to do more scans, you can use your phone for this, by the way. Should you want to do more scans, you can do up to 5 scans with your phone, which would then be $9.99. Those would also be registered on your name, and you literally grab your phone, walk around, scan, and all of that. So, and you'll have it. It's also a really good example for you to see what it'll look like on your computer and on your phone. But I just also want to add that the quality, once again, will also be dependent on the phone that you have and its pixels. So I don't want you to like be disappointed if it's not like high definition because you're using your phone. That obviously depends on your phone. But should you use a Matterport camera itself or the Matterport software, the clarity is fantastic. So I hope that answers that question. And then another one, is it user-friendly, easy to use, light with weight? Yeah, I mean, like when I mentioned, it's 3 kilograms. So it is very user-friendly in that sense, and not too many extra parts. Yeah, so with the carry case, everything is actually in the carry case, the way that it's done and designed. So Monet actually, and this is where he's brilliant, I have to take my hat off to him, he's found a way that he's designed the inside of the carry case to fit your camera, the plug, cables, as well as if you have another camera, you can cut out a space to put your camera in, for example, the Insta360 or your cell phone even. And everything will be in that carry case, which is waterproof. It can go, I think, less than 10 degrees or something crazy like that. It's really one of the most hardest and resistant cameras cases that we could find. And our reason for that is due to locations that people sometimes want to scan. I mean, you might be scanning.
And the case would definitely survive Saudi.
Correct. The case would survive Saudi. Yes. Yeah. So there we go. It's perfect there. So it's not going to melt. So yeah. So it really depends on location. I mean, you end up at a mine sometimes or a lodge where you're doing the inside of somewhere and you want to go, you're crossing the river, something random. You know what I mean? It happens. Monet had to go scan in Lesotho a couple of weeks ago, and they actually. When they were done, the clients there to thank him took him on a bit of a light cruise through one of their rivers there and whatnot. So, and they thought they'd take him over instead of going over the bridge, they'd take him through there, and he had his case with him. So, in a random case of something happening to the boat, the case would actually be securing and keeping the camera safe. So we try to cover all bases in that sense regarding the case. So I hope that answers the question.
When you ever get on a boat called the Titanic, make sure you carry your case and not a door.
Yeah.
I think the case would be more reliable than the door.
Yes. Float on there, yeah. And keep anybody called Jack or Rose away.
Right.
Spoke to the Pro 2 for a free account. No, correct.
Unfortunately,
No, that's the thing. So the camera would be, your cell phone would basically be your intro version of it. For the starter and the what's it called now? Free trial. Yeah, the free trial and the starter. So those would be your ones that you could use with your phone. After that, you go on to the professional and then the professional plus. So the professional is the minimum requirement for a Matterport Pro 2 camera. With that, you can have up to 5 users and you can get up to 25 scans or have access to 25 active scans. Like I say, you can do 50, have 25 active and 25 still in the cloud. And if you're in real estate and you just sold a home or whatever the case might be, 2 or 3, take those 2 or 3 off your website, out of your the cloud, and you replace them with 3 that you had sold, and you can rotate that way. Because clients will come and go, and the scans won't be there full time. As if, for example, like with the university, different story. I just want to add that in because obviously that will be long term. So there, if you want more than 25, you can then look at the professional plus, which is $129 a month, approximately 2,000 Rand. There you get up to 50 active scans that you can use. That is definitely value for money for 2,000 Rand a month. And you know you have 50 scans running 24 hours a day, 365. So that's a way of looking at it. So it really depends on your use and what you want to actually use it for.
That's it.
Yeah.
So do note, I normally start the people out on just the professional. Because then you can fill up those 25 spaces and it's a really good proof of concept to see if you're actually setting up your goals correctly. But now, let's see any other questions yet. Let's quickly pop forward a bit. Now, moving to our happy scanning. So this is the point we're actually going scanning. I know it's only taken us, what, an hour to get here, guys? But we actually get to do some scanning. Hooray. But not yet, actually. So this is my cycle I use when I go and scan. Right? And thus far, it's really made it easy and with as little amount of problems as possible. So looking at the first one there, our site walk. So before I even quote the person, they contact me and they want to scan, I go and see the site first. A site walk is very, very important, ladies and gents. And the reason for that is you get to see what you're dealing with. So there's no surprises on the day. And you can quote accordingly. Now again, luckily, I've had a lot of practice in this. So my eye is pretty well set in determining how much time we'll spend on site. And actually scanning, and you guys will get there too, trust me. The first couple of times you will be struggling a bit, but that's all in the practice. That's why we do the free scans. It's a way of honing in our target. After we've done the site walk, now we know what we're dealing with. Now we can quote with confidence. Now on the day of the scan, first thing I do is what I call a pillar walk. My pillar walk, that is the one that Nick was talking about earlier. That is where I go around, I fluff the pillows. If there's something unsightly that I don't want in the scans, I promptly find a place to hide it away. And this has happened before. So normally I just shove things in random cupboards everywhere and they can have an Easter egg hunt afterwards, finding everything I've hidden away. But that's my pillar walk. I just walk around and make sure all the doors are open, all the curtains are nicely opened. You know, there isn't random coffee cups somewhere. I normally just hide those in a cupboard. You know, simple things like that. Just to make sure that when we actually do start scanning, everything is exactly the way we want it. All right. Everybody happy thus far?
Cool.
Yeah, that's it. Now we can start scanning. We do our actual scan. We've completed our scan for the day. Now the next part is the upload. Now I normally myself wait until I get home, and then I'll just do a batch upload of all the projects I've done that day, right? When I'm back on my Wi-Fi, then do a quick upload of all of the scans I've done. Then we send our client a preview. So at this point, client can go, yes, I like this, I like that, but we actually forgot to take that away. That shouldn't be in the scan. Okay, now we can go back and fix those scans up so we can actually give the client a product that both you and I can be proud of.
So when he says go back, he's not meaning go back to the location where he scanned. He's going back to the scan that he did to look at and alter the scan. Yeah.
No, I do mean going back.
As well. Yeah, but there's two. Yeah.
Because what you will find normally is they would place a random vase somewhere that they don't actually like, grandma's old vase, and they don't want it on the scans. Then we have to go and redo those scans, unfortunately. Cannot Photoshop the data in here, which actually does give us a fair bit in that as well, because once we've scanned a place, we can actually send those to insurance companies if something happens. It is seen as valid data of what was actually in the house. If, let's say, for example, God forbid, a fire comes up or a burglary, whatever the case might be. But another subject all its own. Once client says, okay, great, we are happy, we give them the final submission and we make the scans available for all to view. So normally in the previous stage, I set up a password so that client can't share it before they start paying, if that kind of makes sense as well. Once they're happy and they pay me, then I put it up for final submission. That is where I make the links public and they can actually use the links and start showcasing it on their websites and so forth. And after that, repeat. Any questions on that? I think it's a good system to work on. I've worked on it a multitude of times. It works for me. Everybody looks happy there.
Yeah, it's great.
Cool. Now that makes me sad. I was hoping for questions.
All good. Thanks, James. Awesome.
Okay, so that is my process that I use. That might change a bit for you yourself. By all means, it's all about making it your own. And with that, that is the point where I normally say, go get him, Tiger.
Yeah.
Let's go. Now, just something I want to mention as well is when we actually do our demos and our stuff as well, we like to do what is called a discovery session. So that is where you come and sit with us and we set up this nice little, where is it? There we go. So we set up this nice little mural. So this makes it also interactive for everybody, right? Where we actually sit with you and we actually go through this whole process we just spoke about. We go through it bit by bit and we actually fill in our business plan, for example. We do our feasibility checks, we set up our goals, and this really just does help with setting you guys up to actually do a business plan. So if you're not a businessman or woman, a business person, and you don't actually know how to, do a business plan, and you don't actually know how to do a feasibility check or a SWOT, when we finish with this roadmap here, you will actually have a very good roadmap to follow that you can track yourselves on to really see whether or not you're doing this business justice and how you want to move forward, how you want to, but yeah, it's a very good roadmap to have. And we have had clients that after we've set this up, they ask us for the PDF version.
Yeah.
and they print it out in an A1 and stick it on their wall so that they can live track while they're going.
Make it
That's it. So that is something we also like to do, just because it doesn't help we just sell you a camera. We want there to, build your better projects. We want to be the solution that you come to for actually getting yourself set up.
And one thing why we're also doing this is when Matterport actually approached us, which we were very grateful for in the end of 2020. And we love the concept of it, so we basically signed on the dotted line. From there, it's been a lot of trial and error with myself and Monet as to, okay, how are we going to do this? Because we saw they gave us examples of how to run with it, but these were American and European examples. So we had to kind of make it our own in South Africa. And the market is very different in South Africa than it is in Europe and America. So in that sense, we decided, okay, let's give this a try. And we did various avenues and worked on different
Iterations.
Yeah, operations as well as pricing as well. Because that for us is also a very important one, because sometimes we felt we were overcharging or undercharging, and how to actually sell it, what does this camera actually do for you? So there are numerous industries that the camera is phenomenal in, and one of them was, like I mentioned, in the insurance industry. It's phenomenal for that, because if your house is scanned and you keep it on file or in the cloud on file, and something does by chance happen to your home, you have physical evidence that this exactly is what it looked like pre whatever happened there. So you cannot alter a scan or anything like that. That's the way it's been designed. But yeah, so that's also when we decided to work out this business plan principle, because we decided to take our knowledge and experience and share it with our clients as well. So just to make it easier and for you guys to get a really good head start where that is concerned.
And for myself as well, for me, a very big thing is, as well as people get stuck in the rut of thinking that the Matterport is just for real estate or just for this. And that's simply not the case. We actually had a customer, and I don't think she's in our participants, Unli.
Oh, no.
Unli, not in. But she's a wedding organizer, and she would set up a venue, scan it, and after the wedding has been done and all of that type of stuff, she actually uses that venues as an entry point for new couples. So we can do, for example, this theme or that theme or the other, and we can then work from there, because that makes it a lot easier. I don't know how many of you guys actually got married recently, but that whole anxiety of planning a wedding is ridiculous. So if you can actually see more or less what your end product is going to look like, that's already a big boon. So,
and also to send it over to family overseas, because those who couldn't make the wedding can see there. So 2 questions. One is, do you have a referral fee? We do, but once again, that can be worked out according to the individual as well. So we can discuss that privately if necessary, is not a problem. Then is it possible to send us an example of a scan as the software outputs and a DWG version?
So that we're going to have to maybe look at, Mohammed.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure if we're allowed to send those, but I can definitely showcase you one if we do a demo.
Yeah.
Then I can showcase it. I'm just not sure I'm allowed to send it, unfortunately.
But what we'll do is when we, after this and throughout the day, we'll definitely be in touch, and we can work something out to see how we want to work it out. Okay, and then cool. Greetings to the rest of my team. Thank you for an excellent presentation, discussion. I've got to go to another meeting. Okay, awesome. But all right, thank you very much. It was fantastic, and we will definitely PDF the discovery sheet to you, and we'll definitely chat soon. Yeah,
that's it.
So but on that note, I think just like Garrett mentioned, we've done a fantastic hour with you guys. It's been such a pleasure, as always. I'd like to set up a demo. Fantastic. So, yeah, so what I'll do is, like I said, after this, I'm going to just pull everybody's email addresses from here. I know majority of who everybody is, but just to have things precise, I'll send out info and dates that should you want a demo, discovery session, and we'll work that out and we can take it from there. Because I know everybody, it's Wednesday, it's the middle of the week, you know, tomorrow is like mid-weekend break. So yeah, we won't keep you guys for too much longer. Thank you guys for all the interaction. It's been a lot of fun.
Robin, thank you to you as well.
Yeah.
You excite me as well.
Yeah.
This was a very good webinar. I love the interaction. So you guys, kudos to you guys. Love it.
Yeah.
Let's do it again.
Yeah. And yeah, but then I'll also, like I said, we'll send you everything you need to know. And Monet and I are here for any questions. If you want Matterport, these are the guys.
Okay. Babalwa, thank you to you as well. Looking forward to meeting you as well. Can't wait.
Cool, thanks. Do you have a Facebook page for SA? We have our Modern Facebook page. So that on our Facebook page there, we actually have a lot of our products about Matterport as well as our partner products. We don't have a specific Matterport page one as yet. We would like to do that, but at the same time, there is, in all honesty, a bit of terms and conditions with Matterport themselves. They are quite strict when it comes to marketing and all of that. So what we've done on our website as well, which also sends you guys the links, is on there's information on all the different industries that you can use it for. We have examples of places that we've actually scanned, and you can see South African scanned properties and buildings in the construction, AEC, hospitality, retail section. So we have numerous videos that we've done, and they're not Americanized. So all our info is there.
Yeah, and another thing is, when you guys do come for your demos / discovery sessions, bring me some interesting ways in which you want to use the camera.
Yeah.
I really want to see the creativity of you guys as well.
Yeah.
And let's put Matterport SA on the map ourselves.
Yeah.
That is my goal, personally. So let's go and do that.
Cool. So, well, thank you guys once again. It has been a real pleasure. The interaction has been great. It's as if you guys are sitting here, we're having coffee, and we're actually discussing it. I think next time we'll work around something like that. But yeah, we will chat to you guys soon. And sorry to say goodbye, but we have to. I'll go around, I think. But yeah, chat to us, drop us an email, and you'll definitely be hearing from us by the end of today. So,
and coming to have coffee with us soon enough.
Definitely. Awesome. Thanks so much, guys.
Cheers, guys.
Ciao, ciao.
Have an awesome day.